Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Centurions. It is I, your good old friend Eli, and Joey.
What's up, guys?
And we're here to ring in the new year! Yay! Well, by the time of this recording, it's still not the new year, but by the time it comes out, it's the new year! 2021! Let's hope it's good.
I don't hope for anything. Just hope it's
Has Wonder Woman taught you nothing, Joey?
That's what we're going to be talking about today, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Wonder Woman 1984, and this is a full-on spoiler review. By the time it comes out, it's been at least 2 weeks since it's released. It's gonna be everyone's at least seen it. We're gonna go full spoilers, talk about every nook and cranny. That I might have to rephrase that because it's gonna sound really weird. I'm sorry.
Listen,
I stopped myself.
Yes, we're going head first. Spoilers about
into Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Anyways, so we're gonna talk about everything, from the good, the bad, maybe some of the things that people consider controversial. Maybe we don't know. I mean, a lot of stuff has come out since the movie has been released, so we might talk about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of interesting opinions out there for this movie.
Yeah, and I think it's best to start off with Joe. Your thoughts on the film, stuff that you liked, stuff that you didn't like. And then, I go with mine, and then we discuss the movie as a whole.
Right. So, Wonder Woman 1984 is obviously a sequel to the first one. Obviously takes place in 1984. Has Wonder Woman sort of doing Wonder Woman things, but, is able to, I don't know, people, don't know who she is exactly, but she goes out, saving people, that sort of stuff. Which already comes into probably one of the issues with the movie I have, but I'll discuss it once I finish giving most of my general thoughts and the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's going around. She starts befriending this lady at this museum, right?
Barbara Minerva, who is who is our Cheetah of the film.
Yeah, who becomes Cheetah later on in the film, and
played by Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, he played by Kristen Wiig. So yeah, it's they get to talking and they discover that a robbery that Roman stopped. It turns out they were trying to steal some artifacts. One of these artifacts is a stone,
a wishing stone.
Yes, which is sort of the MacGuffin of the film, which pretty much grants any wish you think about.
Mm-hmm.
With it, Barbara wishes that she was just like Diana, which basically slowly turns her into a second Wonder Woman, essentially. And while Diana, while not stating her wish, she obviously wishes to be with Steve Trevor again.
Mm-hmm.
Who's dead, and it's been a couple decades since.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's a the sort of main villain overall, Max Lord.
Yeah, Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, who's basically this sort of TV personality turned sort of oil tycoon kind of thing.
Kind of oil tycoon.
Yeah, basically sort of invest in my oil stock and you'll get rich stuff kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And he was I think he was the one who actually had the. Was he the one that started the heist, or is that just a separate thing?
I actually don't know.
I think that might have been a separate thing because I feel like
I could have sworn he bought it.
He definitely got the stone off of Barbara.
Yeah,
because he essentially has been researching the stone and wants the stone, and in order to essentially achieve his dreams of just being sort of taking over the world, right? Kind of.
We'll discuss that in a minute.
Okay, all right. Basically, yeah, he takes the stone. He essentially wishes the stone as himself, so now he is the one that can conduit wishes, and he uses that to cause all sorts of chaos around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor to stop him before it's too late. Because the thing about the wishing stone is that it's a monkey's paw.
Yeah, and so essentially if you wish for something, there's consequences to your wishes.
Exactly, and in this case, with Wonder Woman's wish to bring back Steve Trevor, it causes her to lose a good chunk of her abilities, and she's not as powerful as she is.
Which I might have to come into question later, but yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Barbara loses her sort of her best traits as a person, or for all that strength, and Maxwell Lord essentially,
because he's the Wishing Stone now.
Yeah, because he's the Wishing Stone now, he starts to die because he is granting all these people's wishes, and
he becomes obsessed.
Yeah, and he also
with granting wishes.
He becomes obsessed, and essentially also uses, I think, as a side effect, like when someone makes a wish on him, he sort of takes something from them because it's because of the monkey paw thing.
Yeah.
So his whole goal by the end is to try to live forever because he quickly realizes that, oh shit, I'm dying from this stuff. And obviously, once they figure out that we gotta stop Maxwell Lord, Barbara is like, no.
Oh, I like being strong, pretty, and smart.
Yeah, I like this new me. You won't take that from me. And then she switches sides to join Maxwell Lord, beats up Wonder Woman.
Becomes Cheetah.
Basically, by the end of the movie, because she sort of like renegotiates her wish to become like pretty much like this. She calls herself like the apex predator, and she sort of becomes Cheetah by the end of the movie.
Somehow.
Well, yeah, the phrasing is sort of like and she's wearing like sort of like cheetah pattern stripes around her at the time. Basically, yeah, they head to Maxwell Lord tries to use this secret, super secret U.S. Thing that controls all the TV waves to pretty much funnel people's wishes into him, so that way he could basically be immortal, but at the same time cause chaos around the world, which is no bueno.
It's never bueno.
Yeah.
It's never bueno.
Yeah, it's not good. Wonder Woman comes in. Wonder Woman, realizing that in order to stop the wishes, she either has to kill Maxwell Lord or
convince
him and pretty much everybody to renounce their wishes.
Yeah.
So that way, all of it stops. So she reluctantly renounces her wish to be with Steve Trevor, and he basically disappears. So thus gaining her powers back, and she goes and basically fights Cheetah to a standstill, and then goes after Maxwell Lord. He's like, I'm in control now. I'm granting everybody's wishes. There's nothing that can stop me. But Diana, using the lasso of truth, is able to sort of basically turn things around and uses him as a conduit to tell everybody to, hey, renounce your wishes. Listen, we get it. We have things in our lives that we want that are changed or better or whatever. But you gotta take a step back and realize that you can't. Sometimes you can't have what you wish for.
It's literally like, I'm just gonna pause the movie right now, stand on my soapbox, and tell you, the audience, what you should feel.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Especially because one thing that helps Maxwell Lord essentially realize that he stopped is because he has a son who quickly realizes that, I've been accidentally granting wishes to people to the U.S. and Soviet Union, and now they're about to enter a nuclear Armageddon, and my son's in danger, and I have to save my son because he sort of realizes that. The one thing he cares about the most is his son, and he's about to lose him. So he renounces his wish, and with that, everything else sort of falls into place. And Wonder Woman saves the day. Everything comes back to normal, and
by giving a big speech.
Yeah. So it's sort of how the movie ends. Is sort of just like Wonder Woman looking out into sort of this Christmas day. Scene.
Remember, it was released in Christmas.
I mean, yeah. So, to be fair, it would probably would have been released a lot earlier, but due to the current events, they decided to release this on HBO Max, which is something that I think HBO Max, Warner Bros. Is going to be doing with a lot of their films till I think 2021 at least. Yeah. A lot of their films are going to be either releasing, if they can, in theaters or streaming through HBO Max, which I think is actually kind of interesting. And thankfully, they don't charge you like an extra $30 just to watch the movie.
I know you're still upset. I'll move on.
listen, it's not worth it for the quality of that film.
True.
But yeah, no. Overall, my thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984 is it is okay.
Bit problematic in some areas.
Yeah, and I think half of it does have to do with sort of the plot of this wishing stone. It's just kind of hard to like, I guess, put that into a decent plot. Overall. Also, the villains are just kind of not necessarily bad, but just all right. I mean, I think you have a problem with Cheetah just because.
Yeah, I get to 9.
Yeah, just to how she's used overall. Maxwell Lord for me is a sort of I don't know. He's interesting. I feel like the movie tries to paint him, I guess, as a analog to and I know this is gonna sound weird, to Donald Trump, because it's kind of weird. Both, I think they try, and it's sort of like I guess they just use Donald Trump as sort of like, oh, that's. At the time, Donald Trump was, this businessman who was getting really popular at the time. So,
by the way, we're not trying to get political.
Yeah, we're not obviously trying to get political here. Like, they're not doing that. But obviously, Donald Trump was a big entrepreneur in the '80s. That's where he got like sort of his start in terms of like television and stuff like that. So they kind of, I think, draw parallels to him, but not fully. It's just like you see echoes of that, which is interesting. Just for that reason, obviously, like I don't think Maxwell Lord here is as, I guess one would say, controversial as Donald Trump is in the real world. But I guess they sort of thought, who is the best analog for this character who's supposed to be like a billionaire or whatever?
Someone who is very greedy.
Yeah,
it would be a rich person.
Yeah,
and someone from the 80s would be when you think of a rich person from the 80s, it would be Donald Trump.
Yeah, basically. So they sort of do that, which I find interesting. And they give him a bit of a redemption arc at the end. So
yeah. I guess it's my turn to say my thoughts. I'm with you 100% on this is just an okay movie. I've heard before that some people say, this is the worst one. This is terrible. And like I finally sitting down and watching it, I came out like, this isn't bad. There's some things I'm not okay with, and some things that I'm like, this could have been better, or you didn't explain this well, or like, oh, hold up, if Wonder Woman could do this specific scene I'm talking about, it's the invisible jet scene, which, like, oh no, it looks really, it's cool. We finally got the invisible jet on the silver screen. But the explanation of how we got the invisible jet is kind of questionable.
I mean, yeah, they sort of explain it as sort of Wonder Woman because she's the daughter of Zeus,
and he
made Themyscira and hid it away.
Yeah.
She was like, I've been trying to figure out like if I could do that, and I did it once before. I'm gonna try to see if I can do it again here because they're about to get shot down because they're flying a jet in a fly zone sort of thing. And she manages to do it, which I would remember saying that's actually really cool. Like, it's like one of the cheesier things of like Wonder Woman's whole thing is that she has an invisible jet. How can you do that in this sort of realistic thing? And like they sort of tie it to that, and it's like, oh, that's a neat way to do it. Like, granted, it is kind of, it's still dumb.
It's dumb because when you think about it as an established power that she has, one that she doesn't really have in the comics from last I checked. Two, it's like you could have done this at any point during like the Doomsday fight, the Steppenwolf fight, or anything like that.
Yeah, it's very like, and I think that's the problem I have with the movie, is that it does a lot of things that sort of I guess retcon some things of the current lore. One being like Wonder Woman obviously still doing some side rescuing stuff, which if we recall from Batman v Superman, she's like I haven't like done anything for the past like hundreds of years or whatever. So we were supposed to sort of believe that she only participated in World War One, and perhaps the loss of Steve Trevor caused her to just sort of turn away and just sort of like be in the shadows, I guess. Which I guess kind of is what happens here, but at the same time, it's sort of odd that like people obviously talk about her, like who is this mysterious woman that just shows up sometimes, and it's sort of like that doesn't really. It's like it's kind of like
it makes you feel glad that she might have at least done something during like World War II or
it does sort of bring up that sort of like maybe she did go do stuff like during all these other times, because that is sort of the weird thing of at least Batman v Superman is like, oh, you only came out in World War One and then like you went back into hiding, so you didn't help out in World War II or any other crazy conflicts that might have needed someone like you. But here maybe she was able to do something like that.
It's the thing that we're like, hey, people will talk about you. They might do some kind of conspiracy theory thing about like, who was this strange woman? She's been here and she's been here. What is she? Kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it seems like as far as in the first Wonder Woman movie, like that picture of her with her World War One buddies seemed like the only defining evidence of her around. But clearly, if she was operating around in the 80s, then someone must have at least maybe gotten some footage of her. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting.
It's a little questions.
It's stuff like that. It sort of does the thing. Obviously, when you talk about the invisible powers that you can just conjure people to be invisible or objects to be invisible, then I mean, I can maybe understand why she wouldn't do that in a fight.
Because I was giving this that she might not know how to turn it off.
Like, I mean, or like it maybe requires a bit of concentration, and she can't do that in the middle of a fight. But yeah,
and I'll get more into this as we go on. But like, this is the beginning of one of my problems that I have with it. There's not a clear enough time to explain in a movie that's already 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting, because I remember we paused it to go for a little bit of a bathroom break, and I was like, we're only an hour in. It doesn't feel like an hour to me. I feel like we've been doing some weird, pointless build up, I guess. I don't know.
And like, I'll give this a pause. I like the relationship between Steve Trevor, and Diana Prince, the Wonder Woman. That's still gold. There's a scene where you and I just bursted out laughing.
Yeah,
because like that seems like such a real thing to say.
Yeah. And obviously, it's nice to see them interacting again, and obviously Chris Pine and Delgado still have a pretty good chemistry playing these characters. So it's nice that like one of the good parts of the first one also manages to come in the second one.
Also, I think I forgot to mention this: the beginning of the movie is like sort of Themyscira's version of the triathlon, I guess.
Yeah,
that was a cool scene.
Yeah, that whole sequence at the beginning, which is sort of like, kind of like, I guess, helps explain a bit of the moral of the movie in a sense, sort of like, truth, always be truthful kind of thing, stuff like that. So yeah, it was, it's interesting seeing young Diana just sort of trying to run this whole thing, and it's nice visual shots. There are some parts where like the CGI looks a little wonky.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I kept pointing it out.
Yeah. But I mean,
also say this: it's a little Diana, like a little kid, at least 12 years old, going up against fully grown women.
Yeah, and the fact that she's like, she's almost close, but not quite enough.
Because she took a shortcut, she cheated basically.
Yeah, like she missed one of the arrows, one of the targets she was supposed to hit, and decided to just take a shortcut to catch up and be the first one to throw a spear through a hole. But obviously, her, I think, aunt, right?
Yeah, Hippolyta
was like, nope. Like
you cheated. No,
this is not the way.
And she thankful, and the child actress gave a great performance in that scene with like saying, "But I could have won." And stuff. But
yeah, it was a solid child actor.
It was a solid moment, and it's such a nice, and I really love that moment. Just like a young Diana getting these great lessons from these two people that she loves. It's great to see that again, because that's one thing I feel like this. I'll say this: I feel like this movie kind of missed that sort of feeling, that sort of like charm that the first one had.
Yeah, I can understand what you mean by that.
I mean, I'll say this. Aside from that, there's some also great moments. There's some really good funny moments too. I didn't laugh out loud, but I'm like, huh, that's funny. Like the scene where Barbara, she starts realizing she's super strong. She starts lifting a lot of bigger weights and like shocking all the guys, which is like the funniest thing I've seen
Yeah,
in the movie.
which I mean, I think might lead to one of the other talking points is that this movie does have a bit of some cheesy moments here and there.
Yeah. There's some moments where, and we can go full more into this a little bit later. But there's some moments I'm like, that's some like some nice cheese. But then there's like, okay, calm down now. This is a little.
Yeah, this is a little over the top.
Yeah. There's a moment like I remember hearing this from a review once that it goes from like Superman level Richard Donner Superman level cheese to like all the way to Superman 4 Quest for Peace cheese.
Yeah, and I will admit, like the ending sort of I think evocates that kind of feeling of I think what you mean of the Superman 4 stuff. Obviously, like Diana essentially talking to everybody and having them sort of renounce their wishes and giving them all a bit of a pep talk speech or whatever is kind of reminiscent of the ending of Superman 4, titled The Quest for Peace, where he just sort of just grabs all the nukes at the end and just throws it into the sun. It's like, now I've solved the nuclear crisis. All the nukes are gone.
Which is 4 years before it happens.
Yeah, which is, it's just kind of funny. I don't know if it was, I don't know. I feel like maybe some of that stuff was intentional just because of the time period this movie set in, where a lot of that stuff is probably a bit more, where a lot of that stuff is happening. But yeah, it's, I think, there's solid action scenes. Cheetah looks alright.
Yeah, she look alright.
Like in live action. Thankfully, she doesn't look like anything from Cats, thankfully. They decided not to do that.
Thank God.
You know, it actually got at least a bit of face makeup on her a little bit, which looked pretty nice. There was, I think, one of the more...
I'll say this. Like I think you mentioned earlier the wishes. Some of the wishes made sense, and some of the monkey paw results also made sense. But there's some other stuff I'm like, wait, how does that work?
Right.
And then like there are times where I'm like, okay, wait, are they? I mean, this is probably for me personally, but I feel like sometimes they kept breaking the rules of the wishes. Like there's moments where Max, okay, it's established that you can only make one wish per person. And you can't, unless you rescind, you can't do anything about it. And there was a scene where, like, Maxwell Lord talked to Barbara, and she's like, I can get you one more wish. He's like, but I thought you can't do that. I'm like, I make the rules, man. I make the rules with the wishes. And I'm like, okay. Wait, are we... And, like, the way he did it, okay, that made sense. Okay. I was a little more concerned because I was like, okay, are you about to break your rule? You didn't break the rules, but you kind of like bend it a little too much.
Yeah. There's a bit of loopholes here and there,
which is like kind of like questionable, I guess.
Yeah,
because you would think it'd be a little more literal, but because that's what monkey paws tend to be. They tend to be very literal. It's like the Midas touch. Like I want anything I touch to be turned to gold. But that also includes gold and your daughter and your food.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's sort of that sort of thing, right? I will say, there's a whole like, I think the whole thing with Steve Trevor.
Yeah, that was a big bit of a controversy when that happened.
At least some people were saying, because the thing with Steve Trevor is that he himself doesn't come back. He sort of inhabits some other dude's body, and like to everybody else, he looks like that dude. It's including to Steve Trevor when he looked into a mirror. But for Diana, she just sees Steve there, and I think for some people, it's like that's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people are just sort of like
because like she's essentially, of course they haven't seen each other in a long time. They have very tender romantic moments. They make love, and then at that point you're like, but wait, is it? We know the reason why, but what about the guy who's Steve's body is inhabiting. What is like? It's that weird area that we're like, questionable.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think from like, I guess in my head canon, it's more sort of like he's just kind of like in a bit of a deep sleep and doesn't know what's happening.
But then when you go further into that thought process, it's even more questionable.
Yeah, you know, it's just something that I guess
it didn't hit them until like someone said it.
Yeah, I think it's just something that maybe it was like done in the writers' room that no one really put that much thought into. But as you know, people are like sort of I think making inferences and sort of analyzing the movie. They're sort of like that's kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't think it's
I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, I don't think it was definitely intentional by the director or anyone in the writing room. It's just sort of just like one of those weird like oversights that you're just kind of like, I'm surprised they didn't try to make some other weird way to make it, you know.
I mean, the other thing is that he just apparates in front of everybody.
I mean, I don't know. I guess when I remember seeing the trailer that Steve Trevor was back, I just assumed like he was legitimately like he just got brought back to life, you know. Like, not like he came out of a grave or anything, but like he just sort of, he just sort of just pops up one day in the middle of, like, kind of like a weird like Terminator style where he just like pops into the middle of an alleyway just completely butt naked. It's like, where the hell am I?
You know what? That would totally work as Eddie's reference.
I mean, that could have, I think that would have been kind of funny. But you know, it's just kind of a weird like little thing that people have been talking about online. Just wanted to address that real quick.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm not saying it's not something you shouldn't talk about, but also we got to realize maybe this wasn't the intention of the directors or anyone in charge. It just happened to be that sort of situation, and like, just happened to look kind of gross.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's weird because like there's moments in this movie where, and I don't know about you, but I feel like it's weird that most of the dudes in this movie and centered around a female superhero, a lot of dudes, except for like maybe one guy, except for maybe Steve Trevor, are kind of assholes.
A little bit. A lot of there are moments I think with Barbara because before,
especially Barbara.
Yeah, because before she makes her wish to be just like Diana, she's sort of the kind of nerdy, bookwormy kind of girl, and like everybody just sort of like
ignores her.
Granted, just an equal amount of women do that to her anyway. It's not just guys who just be like, no one cares about you. Like her boss is like, I'm looking for Barbara. Oh, that's me. Wait, you're Barbara?
You hired me.
It's like, come on, man. That has to suck for her.
Yeah, but I get that. There's a moment where literally just. I think the reason I'm saying that is because once Barbara wishes that she's like more like Diana, it's where like I start feeling like, oh, okay, this is kind of. It's kind of gross where all the dudes are now hitting on her just because she just got pretty, like there's no just normal dude. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you mean. It is, I mean, to be fair, a lot of dudes do that to Diana herself as well. They're sort of like trying to hit on her. She has like this guy who works at the White House and constantly trying to like get on a date with her. He's like, not the time.
Friend zone.
Yes, yeah. It's just it is kind of weird that like a lot of guys, except for Steve Trevor, obviously, because he's already like he's already perfect human. No, he's more like he's already like with Diana, so it's like it's fine or whatever. Yeah, it is kind of weird that kind of happens a little bit. I mean, granted, like I think I don't know, the homeless guy is pretty alright.
He's pretty alright. Yeah, he's just the homeless guy.
I mean, yeah, I think that is a bit weird for like some of the side characters, or like I guess like background male characters. But yeah,
it feels very stereotypical.
Yeah, I get what you mean by that.
And I'm not saying this is a big problem for the movie. I think it's just a problem I have with its sort of depiction. Like, not saying like I'm a dude. I know that some people are like that, but this is a little excessive. You know?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but I feel like you went a little too hard on it.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you mean by
Mhm.
that. It just sort of like I guess for some people it would just come off as a little bit like, all right, we get the message. All right,
Mhm.
you don't have to keep
Mhm.
just pushing it in there.
Yeah, you can't beat us over the head with it. And yeah, I mean that's most of what I thought. You know, what else do you want to talk about the movie?
Um, I'm trying to think of. I don't know. It just I will. It is just kind of like I think another interesting thing I forgot to mention is that they like there's like just the one like the scene where Maxwell Lord goes to the president.
Mm-hmm.
I think we both had a very bit of
Yeah, we have to pause the movie for a minute.
yeah, it was like a wait what kind of thing because it felt like they were trying to imply because first of all, um, despite I think because it feels like the DC universe definitely takes a lot, at least in the movies, sort of takes a lot of real life. Like in Batman v Superman, you see a lot of actual real world people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Jon Stewart being in these things. So when we come here in 1984, we have him go to the president, and you're expecting like either a Reagan lookalike or maybe they deep faked Reagan face or something like that. And no, it's not even. It doesn't. It's not, it doesn't look like a guy who looks remotely like
and
Ronald Reagan.
we're not saying it should have been Ronald Reagan, but the way it's written, it's like you feel like that president sort of. And this is what I mean earlier about the rules are confusing because the writing the president was saying was more like, oh, I wish to be president.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's sort of like he has this bit of a confused look for like the first couple of minutes. He's like, I mean, yeah. It's sort of, yeah. It feels like he's maybe someone who wished to be the president, but then Maxwell Lord comes in and is like, hey, I want you. You want a wish? I'll give you some wishes. You want to put more nukes near the Russians? Yeah, I can do that. You know, it's like, do some wishes here, and it's like, wait. So you mean this is the president? Then why is he acting like he has no idea what's going on? Shouldn't he at least understand a little bit of like, okay, there's some serious stuff here. I need to be figuring stuff out. Who are you, Maxwell Lord? You want to help me? Sure, I guess I can use your help or whatever. Not sort of like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just lost.
And I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to say maybe he felt that way because someone wished. Because we know someone wished for Maxwell Lord to meet the president. So maybe that's why he's like weirded out, like, wait, why am I here? Kind of stuff. But like, you know, it feels weird because that's the first thing you thought of.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like I think that's like the one scene where it's just like I could use a little bit more of like explanation. Mm-hmm. Like, is this guy actually the president? Is he a guy who wished himself to be president, or is he just sort of a bit confused because of that earlier wish of like I want to meet the president? Mm-hmm. He's like, or maybe like I was on Air Force One couple of minutes ago, but now I'm back in my office. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Like if it was like a line like that, I'd be like, oh, okay, all right, so that's what happened. But it doesn't seem like it. But it's a bit confusing. But I'll let it slide just because I think it's like the one. I think that's for me. That's like the one moment where it's sort of like, is this like a wish or is it? Like,
it takes you out of the movie
a little bit, yeah.
And like going back to the cheetah thing, I said this when we were watching towards the end of the movie. I felt disappointed with Cheetah because Cheetah's kind of like, you know, the Joker to Batman, Lex Luthor to Superman. They're the most iconic, you know, villain next to some other character, and you kind of hope that she would have more of a antagonistic role, but it doesn't happen towards till the end of the movie.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, because for like the first two thirds of this movie, Barbara is sort of just like she's like developing her powers. She's sort of developing who she is, and she has this one moment where you sort of like see her like really embracing just her newfound power by just beating up this guy who tried to, I guess, assault her earlier in the movie.
But same guy twice too.
Yeah, it's the same guy. So she just like beats him down in front of the homeless guy that she likes to help, and he's like, what are you doing? Why are you being like this? And it's like, it's none of your business. I'm leaving. It's like, yeah, you know, it's sort of like that sort of the moment where you're like, oh, she's like really like she's bought into her power now. She's really like a power hungry at this point.
I mean, and yeah, it's. I'm not saying Kristen Wiig as Cheetah wasn't bad, but it just feels so underwhelming because you kind of expected more. And then this Maxwell Lord, we get his stuff, and he's pretty. Pedro Pascal does a good job with him.
Yeah,
because like I feel like this had it been anyone else, they wouldn't have done a good job with, you know, the way they written that character. Because he was a little too everywhere. That, you know, I can see like any actor giving him like a little too much, you know, being a little too hammy. He gave it just the right amount, so where it was fine.
Yeah.
And you know, like, we also can't ignore the kid he had, Alistair.
Yeah, you know, their relationship is pretty interesting. You know, he obviously like, buys into the wishes so much that he sort of like kind of ignores his kid, and you know that's kind of sad for him.
We see a little bit of his backstory in the last few minutes, though.
Yeah, and we sort of like come to at least slightly understand where he's coming from, which honestly doesn't surprise me because at least just judging from his character, it's like okay, I can kind of see some deep-seated issues of in his past that might lead him to be like this now. Yeah. But yeah, going back to Cheetah, I think, yeah, I do sort of, I guess, understand why you would feel that she's a bit underutilized. I mean, I guess for me, I think it's just for me. I think probably the issue is just that, sadly, Wonder Woman's villains rogues are just aren't as iconic as Batman's or Superman's.
There's not that many to go with.
Yeah, like I mean,
it's because it's either usually one of the pantheon of Greek gods, like Ares, Hades, kind of thing. That like, aside from like say the lower ones, it's probably Giganta, Cheetah. Who else I can't think of on the top of my head. I know I've been trying to do some more like Greek heroes and stuff like that, but you know, aside from that, it's like there's none that really like stand out except for Cheetah.
Yeah, and I think that's just sort of like it's kind of sad. I mean, because I know you mentioned before when we were watching, it's like we could have used this movie to make her like as iconic as like the Joker or something like that. But I don't know, maybe just it's sort of like one of those things where it's sort of like, well, she's like a woman cat thing. I mean, I guess that's what we can do with her.
I mean, I will say this: Maxwell Lord, they did it in a way that I wasn't expecting. Because I remember one of the most well-known things that they did with him in the comics was that he was the one that tricked the Justice League into killing, and when Wonder Woman found out, he snapped her neck. Well, she snapped his neck. So, and that got shown off to the world, and no one can trust Wonder Woman again. I was like, damn, maybe they'll do something like that. And I kind of got the hints of that towards the end, because the last cell was used in the middle of that. But I'm pretty okay with what happened.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think it's mainly just, I think for that, honestly, for me, I feel like they weren't gonna do that just because it felt like Wonder Woman. Like it did not seem like she was killing people in this movie, which you know, obviously is a good thing. I mean, heck, there's like a whole action sequence in when they're in Egypt where she just sort of like stops chasing Maxwell Lord in order to save these kids playing on the side of the road. So obviously, like they definitely do a lot of like making Wonder Woman like actually heroic, which I think is nice.
You don't see that much in most superhero movies.
Yeah, not a whole lot of actually going out and saving civilians in superheroes as much. So you know, it's kind of neat to see that from Wonder Woman. But yeah, I kind of figured that they weren't gonna kill him just because I feel like ever since Batman v Superman, you know, all the Zack Snyder's films with the DC universe, I think they slowly been sort of like backtracking on some of the more darker aspects of that universe. So yeah, I think that's sort of half the reason as well as why we have these sort of like weird like retcon continuity stuff going on is because you know these like recent DC movies are sort of like trying to do their best to just like pull away from that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this: I'm happy they're doing that, but at the same time, like you said, like, a lot of these retcons, a lot of these changes, it starts to feel like it's kind of like not part of the same story anymore. Because that's what you said to me. It feels like this is a different Wonder Woman than the one in the first one.
Yeah, and the one we see, later on. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not hating on it. I think it's just fine. But I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard of this film, I thought it was gonna be like, oh, this is gonna have nothing to do with any of the film. I feel like this is gonna be a little too different from it to be an actual sequel or something like that. And I was right because it doesn't. Because like what you said, it feels like this is a different Wonder Woman than we got. Now that being said, I think it's still an okay movie. I don't agree with a lot of the hate that goes with it. I just think it's not as to par with the first one.
Yeah,
the first one had like a nice message that didn't beat you over the head with, because that's something that this movie had. It kind of beat you over the head with. They established the message at the beginning of the movie, and throughout it, and there's like little bits of moments where like they're showing off that message, but it's never really like fully gone into or explored, kind of stuff. Well, kind of, maybe, might be wrong. And then we have to end it with like a big speech that Wonder Woman gives to everybody, because it ends with everyone having to renounce their wishes, and it's done in a way where I swear to God, this is where I'm saying like it's a little too cheesy, or it reminds me of Superman 4, and it's probably because of the whole we got rid of all the nukes.
Well, yeah, because since people are renouncing their wishes, obviously all the nukes that were wished up are just gone. I mean, I think what helps it be like that kind of cheesy is because like there's like some militant in like a Middle Eastern country wishing for some nukes, and then we cut back to him after like the renouncing. It's like, I renounce my
my wish.
It's just like, oh, come on, man. I feel like
we didn't need to see that.
Like, I feel like Muslim experience wouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I got this nuke. It's mine now.
Not to be
like very sort of like I guess making assumptions of certain people and if they were willing to renounce their wishes or not. But like, come on, there had to be at least one guy who's like,
I don't want to let go of my wish.
No, I'm not letting go of my wish. You crazy?
I'm finally rich. But then the monkey's paw thing happens, and then
I
have to renounce my wish.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just the whole sequence was just really cheesy to me. Like everyone was like looking at the camera, like, I renounce my wish, I renounce my wish, I renounce my wish. I'm like, okay, we get it. It's a very meaningful moment, but you're kind of like dragging it along a bit.
Yeah. So I think that's everything except for like the mid-credit scene.
You want to talk about the mid-credit scene? Well, I'll lead up to the mid-credit scene. And it's established. They explained where the that armor that we all seen
in the trailers.
The Alex Ross golden. Some fans like to call it the chicken armor because it looks like because it has it's like an eagle thing.
Yeah.
If it looks a little more like a chicken, and shit. It explains that this is a relic left behind by one who, stood by and defended the Amazonians as they left for Themyscira. And this is her armor. Is all that's left of her. And then this is all I found from her. And then she puts on that suit and flies into battle and does her kick-ass stuff. And then we cut to the mid-credit scene. We find out that Amazonian is still alive, and it's Linda Carter.
Yeah, I think her name is Asteria.
Asteria, yeah.
Yeah, and we see it's just she sees that, hey, she's she's around. She's just doing her own thing, much like Diana. Mm-hmm. Which it's kind of cute.
Yeah,
that we were, because I'm pretty sure we didn't have a Linda Carter cameo in the first movie, so it's nice that we sort of they brought her in and sort of just incorporated her into the universe as a sort of proto Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I guess we forgot to mention this. Wonder Woman learns how to fly in this movie, right?
That was weird.
I mean, yeah, because the thing is, I think in some iterations of the comic she can fly.
Yeah, some iterations she can fly. That's why you don't see a lot of the Invisible Jet anymore.
Yeah, which I guess I think it's in the comics that was their way of getting rid of the Invisible Jet and being it cheesy. It's sort of like she should just fly now.
Yeah, and it's not that it didn't make sense, but just it feels kind of weird that we had to stop the movie for her to fly.
Yeah, But at the same time, it's a bit of an emotional moment for her because this is the moment where, like, it's just after Steve Trevor gives him, she renounces her wish and Steve Trevor goes away. So, and, she takes his words about, like, flying and how it works and just sort of uses it to motivate her to actually fly.
Yeah. But I think the problem is it's kind of like the invisible jet thing. We already know she can fly in the past movies. And her, having this. Well, yeah, you're right. It's an emotional moment. We just, it feels like we've seen this already. We don't need to see it again. Which I get. But I'm not hating on that. It's just I feel like it's really weird because it's a weird retcon.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think I still like the scene.
Yeah.
For the most part. But yeah, I think that's everything we have to say about the film.
Yeah, and we were to pull out different. Okay, so what is your rating and why?
For me, I would put this. I would probably say like a solid 7.
7?
Like,
why? Yeah, why?
Because I think the original one for me is like around an 8. And
maybe a 9.
Maybe. So. I feel like the movie is a bit of a disappointment, at least comparing it to the original. On its own, it seems okay. So, overall, I mean, for me,
it's not harmful.
Yeah, it's not harmful. The cheesiness of some of the stuff, I'm fine with for the most part. Obviously, the ending's a bit, a little just over just kind of like very cheesy. But for me, I think for the most part, I'm fine with a lot of this stuff. I mean, I legit really like that they somehow found a way to incorporate the visible jet.
Even though we've agreed it's stupid.
It's dumb as hell, but I just really find it cool that they just somehow were able to incorporate it. I don't know, because I always like those sort of moments where they acknowledge some of the dumber comic book stuff.
Yeah.
In old comic books, I kid you not, if Man of Steel or any future Superman movie, somehow makes a reference to Krypto, have an actual fucking alien dog that has Superman powers, I'd be like, this is the best Superman movie ever. I don't care if everything else doesn't make sense.
You're a simple man.
I'm a simple man. Show me Krypto the super dog, and I will love your movie.
I'm right there with you. I give it a 7 out of 10. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like a lot of the stuff, while it does seem kind of problematic and questionable at best, it's still not that harmful of a movie. I don't think it's the worst one. I think it's just coming off the rails of the first one, which was really good. You guys know that I have an issue with the ending and how it kind of butchers its message. I feel like this one has a good message, but it's one that's not. It's kind of it's an overdone message, and the way they present it is a little too in your face and just really, dude, come on. Kind of stuff. So I mean, I'm giving it a 7 because at the same, it's not harmful. It's not. But I feel like with enough time, maybe if I really wanted not to like it, I would have given it something worse. But I feel like a 7 is just good because it's still I still found some stuff to enjoy out of it. But there's also aspects I'm like, man, just give it a couple more just. Put the writing in the oven a little longer, and you would have gotten a good movie.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I feel like it probably may have needed at least a little bit more, rewrite than some of these stuff to make it a bit more concise and
make it a little more sense.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if some of that was affected by current events. I hope it's not the case.
Well. I think it was done before current events. It was just the issue of releasing it.
Yeah, I think that's the case. But overall,
it just feels really, disappointing to have. I think everyone has their right to enjoy it and not. I think the consensus is it's very disappointing, especially coming off of the first Wonder Woman movie. I mean, there's a reason why I think the rating for this on Rotten Tomato, which is an aggregator, so it's not the official,
end all be all.
Yeah, it's just what people generally think of the movie, where they rate it, and they give it the last I checked was a 68. So I mean, we're a little more forgiving. That's because not because we're just comic book fans, but also like it's not terrible.
Yeah, like I don't think it deserves a lot of the hate it's getting online.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it does either. It's fine. It's not. It's the same argument I make about Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with enough deep reading, you can come to hate it. But as a product that is presented to you as a film, it's just all right.
Yeah.
There's nothing really like bad about it. Nothing really like offensive. It's not really Some people like this to it as like like feminist, not feminazi, whatever. It's really not.
Yeah.
Especially this movie, it's not. It's just done over the top in some areas. Like I said earlier about the men, the guys. Look. I've seen there's catcalling is a thing. It's happened. I've seen it, and it's not that if you want to incorporate it in a film, that's fine. But just don't make it seem like it's all the guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. Maybe they didn't realize it, and I get it works within like the moment of that story. But it just feels so weird.
Yeah.
And the stuff with what we like to call him Trevor Steve.
Oh yeah, that was the funny joke I made when I was like, I think initially when I was seeing like trailers for the movie, I was like, what if he just comes back, but because I knew about like the Wishing Stone having a monkey paw effect. I was like thinking like maybe like he comes back, but he's just a different person. And he's like he looks like him, but his like name is like I don't know Trevor Steve or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what but obviously that wasn't the case. But we sort of called the guy that Steve Trevor was inhabiting Trevor Steve just because it'd be really funny if that was the case.
Funny. But I mean, like, it's. I think the problem that most comes with just the Wishing Stone as it is, because it leaves so much implication. Like, what if that guy? And we know he's not. But what if like he was married, had kids, and like one day they see like these kids see their dad with another woman, and what could that lead?
Yeah, thankfully it doesn't seem like he looks like he's single. Thankfully. But yeah, it could in a real world scenario that could lead to a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's that's why I'm saying like everything is questionable because like you're like, wait, how does this work? Is this what level of monkey paw are we going?
Yeah,
and going back to my other statement, it's not. This movie is not harmful. There's a lot of people that might want to make it seem a little bit more than it is than others, but really, it's not doing anything that's like overtly, trying to damage somebody.
Yeah.
Do I think Patty Jenkins needs to be part of Wonder Woman 3? I'm not sure. You?
Well, I feel like she might be slated to do the third one.
Because a lot of people are concerned because the moment like the aggravator stuff, on Rotten Tomatoes, started showing down a lot of unfavorable reviews for Wonder Woman 1984. They're like, oh, what does this mean for Patty Jenkins? Does it mean that she lost her director seat for Rogue Squadron movie? What is going to happen? Why are they giving her Wonder Woman 3 if it's so bad? And I'm just like, it's not really that bad.
And also, obviously, like she probably has something to do with it. But I mean, you also got to talk about the writers as well, right?
Yeah, and if we're talking about writers, it's weird. We got Jeff Johns, who is like Mr. DC. Like, I can go into a whole conversation as to his position in DC and how it has changed. But like, basically, he's like the guy who knows all like the lore of DC. Like, he is the walking encyclopedia of DC.
Yeah,
history, which like probably tells you why some of the decisions were made.
Yeah,
but he's also one of the guys who like also kind of is the reason why Wonder Woman was so good.
Yeah, so it's obviously you gotta like just look at like what are the factors here, and I think it's more to it than just saying the director did a bad job,
or the writer did a bad job. Probably it was a mix of both.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember hearing that there was from a review that talked about where they quoted an article where saying that this movie kind of that Patty Jenkins took like the things that she thought that she didn't understand what made Wonder Woman 1 so good, and she brought that into Wonder Woman 2. Which I'm like, I can kind of see what they're saying with this, but at the same time, it's like I said, it's not a harmful movie.
Yeah.
It's just kind of okay. And that's probably why a lot of us are very upset with and very disappointed with it, because like writing off of Wonder Woman, which was such good, you could have easily done better. And there's a lot of stuff out there that Wonder Woman has to make a movie good. And who knows? Maybe we'll get in the third one.
Maybe, yeah.
So, what else is there to talk about?
I think that's it. I think that we've discovered everything.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. If there's anything I missed, let us know. But like I said, this is not a terrible movie. It's not. This could have easily been a bad movie.
Yeah, I definitely could. I mean, obviously, the sequels always take a bit of a gamble of like, will it capture the original or will it just flop hard? I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's not like as good as the original, but it's definitely not like bad. It's not Suicide Squad. Yeah, well, clearly there's like worse DC films than this film.
Oh yeah.
Considering their track record, there's a lot worse. So yeah, overall, Wonder Woman, pretty solid movie.
It's pretty solid. I'd say this. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but then again, half the time I already watched any movie more than once.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but overall, Wonder Woman 1984, solid movie.
Solid movie. It's a good 7. Yeah. I think some people might hate it more because I know there's a lot of people that hated like Birds of Prey was a very decisive film. Like I know some people that hate it. I know some people that loved it. Personally, I'm like,
yeah,
really, Yeah, and this is another one in their F files. It's weird because we were strapped. We were rolling hard. We were rolling some good movies, and we had to have a year or two kind of meh movies. One could be bad if you want. Whichever you choose, that's up to you. But yeah, guys, thanks for taking us to listen to. We are back for the new year. Again, this episode is being recorded before, but the release time, it will be the new year, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. We got a lot more stuff planned for the year. Hopefully, we will be able to do more stuff. Who knows? It's all up in the air. But if you guys did enjoy us, please follow us on social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the Geek Centurions. If you follow us on Instagram, you will find the link tree to all of our podcasting sites that we are officially with, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Spotify, Pandora, all that good stuff. Also, if you like us there and you want to see how we want to see, put a face to the voice, we are also on YouTube where you can like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to let us know how we are. Follow us there, help us get big there. And if you want to, you leave a comment there, let us know. Maybe I could do something better. And what else is there? Patreon is also a thing.
Yeah.
That we have where you can support us and any ways we can. Like I said, we weren't able to do a lot of stuff this year. Hopefully with you guys and the stuff that you are able to donate to Patreon, we can do some stuff twice as more. So yeah. And I think this has been a pretty good year for our podcast though.
Yeah.
We had some good episodes, some great ones.
Yeah, and hopefully this coming year, 2021, we continue to make some good content.
Again, this is being recorded by I'll say probably one of my favorite ones we did last year was probably the Fighting Game, the FGC episode, and the Godzilla episode. Probably one of my favorites. We'll probably, maybe I'll do a post about some of our favorite episodes that we did. But we'll see. Anyways, guys, thanks for taking the listen to. Hope you guys enjoyed Wonder Woman 1988 and 1984. If you didn't, that's okay. I'm not gonna hate on you. If you did, more power to you. But aside from that, it's been fun. We really enjoyed our time here. And for the rest of you guys, peace. Happy New Year.